In the dance of the universe, everything follows a rhythm. Everything oscillates. Everything pulses in perfect cycles. This is the fifth Hermetic principle, the law of rhythm. A universal principle that invites us to observe the movement of the tides, the cycle of the seasons, and even the ups and downs of our lives. Understanding this law is to find harmony amid chaos, balance amid change. Today we will explore the secret behind this cosmic rhythm and how it manifests in every aspect of existence. Imagine the universe as an eternal dance, a continuous movement from one side to the other, a flow and ebb that never stops. This is rhythm, invisible yet present, subtle yet undeniable. The fifth Hermetic principle, known as the law of rhythm, teaches us that everything in the universe follows cycles. There is always an action and a reaction, an advance and a retreat, a rising and a sinking. This is in the affairs of the universe, suns, worlds, men, animals, mind, energy, and matter. This law is manifest in the creation and destruction of worlds, in the rise and fall of nations, in the life of all things, and finally, in the mental states of man. Everything flows in and out, in a pendulum motion that governs existence. Just like the waves of the sea, there is a moment of advance and a moment of retreat. What rises will inevitably fall. What is born will one day dissolve. Just as there was an emanation at the beginning of everything, at some point the universe will stop expanding as it does now and begin the reverse motion, a compensation, until everything returns to how it was in the beginning. This is the breath of God. The law of rhythm also governs our lives. Notice how our days oscillate between light and darkness, our emotions between joy and sadness, our moments between action and rest. It is the rhythm of life. Everything begins and ends. Understanding the law of rhythm is recognizing that nothing is permanent, neither joy nor pain. Everything is in motion. Everything is temporary. Just like the pendulum, the universe also seeks balance amid oscillations. This is the secret of universal harmony. On the vast stage of the universe, rhythm is the invisible maestro. Galaxies spin in cosmic spirals, stars are born in stellar nurseries, and die in magnificent explosions, returning to the dust of space. Each pulse of light, each movement of the celestial bodies, follows a cycle. Nothing is stationary. Everything dances to the sound of a universal rhythm. Look at the sky. The sun rises and sets in a perfect cycle that sustains life on Earth. The phases of the moon influence the tides, fertility cycles, and even our emotions. The universe breathes. It expands and contracts, as if the entire cosmos were alive. On Earth, the same principle manifests. The seasons follow one another in perfect harmony. Spring brings life, summer matures, autumn harvests, and winter rests. It is the eternal cycle of renewal. Just as in nature, everything in our existence is governed by cycles, flow and ebb, birth and death, inhalation and exhalation. Rhythm is the signature of the all. By observing it, we discover that change is not our enemy, but part of life's dance. Understanding this principle aligns us with cosmic order, accepting that even the most powerful forces follow the compass of universal harmony. Rhythm is not just an external force, it is within us. Blood flows in our veins in a constant stream, the heart beats in a unique cadence, and our breathing follows the rhythm of life. Everything vibrates in tune with this law. And what about the tides of the ocean? They advance and retreat, as if following a celestial choreography dictated by the moon. Just as the waters move in cycles, our thoughts and emotions also have their highs and lows. Nothing escapes the pendular motion of rhythm. Notice the hidden harmony in every aspect of nature. Rivers flow to the sea, but never chaotically. They follow the path shaped by gravity and terrain. Trees grow slowly, in cycles of expansion and rest, respecting the seasons. Even the smallest insect, deep in the forest, lives in sync with its surroundings. The law of rhythm is a reminder that the universe is not chaotic, but deeply ordered. Behind every apparent disorder lies a precise dance, an oscillation that maintains the balance of the all. When we look closely, we see that chaos is merely rhythm we have yet to understand. When we align ourselves with natural cycles, we live in harmony with the universe. And just as the sun always rises after the darkest night, we can trust that after every fall, there will be a rebirth. This is the eternal pulse of creation, a truth that echoes in every corner of the cosmos. In our lives, rhythm also silently governs every moment. From the instant we are born, we begin to dance with the cycles of existence. Childhood fills us with energy and discovery. Youth drives us with passion and ambition. Maturity brings us responsibility and reflection. And old age teaches us the wisdom of rest. Everything has its time, and each phase has its purpose. But rhythm is not only in the major transitions of life. It is present in our daily lives. Some days we are full of energy, inspired, ready to conquer the world. On others we feel tired, introspective, needing silence and pause. This movement between highs and lows is natural, part of the pendulum that swings incessantly within us. Even our emotions obey this principle. There are moments of joy when the world seems to shine, followed by periods of sadness or restlessness. Resisting these oscillations is futile. The attempt to remain in a permanent state, whether of happiness or stability, is like trying to stop the flow of a river. The secret lies in observing without attachment. When you are in a moment of ascension, enjoy it, but know that it will end. When you are in a challenging period, remember that the tide always changes, and the light will return. As the Persian poet Rumi said, "This moment of difficulty too shall pass." It is the pendulum of life, swinging from one extreme to the other, but always returning to balance. The law of rhythm is not a punishment or a trap. It is a reminder that everything we experience is part of a greater dance. When we understand this, we stop fighting the tides and begin to navigate with them. This is the path to harmony. Think of emotions as an invisible pendulum that continuously swings between extremes. In one moment we feel joy, enthusiasm, the lightness of a heart at peace. In the next, we may be overcome by sadness, anger, or discouragement. This oscillation is natural, part of the universal cycle that governs all existence. Most of us, however, try to resist this movement. When we are happy, we want to freeze the moment, clinging to the feeling as if we could keep it forever. But the pendulum must swing. It is propelled by the very force of the universe. The more we cling to the positive side, the more intensely it swings to the opposite. This is the trap. The greater the enthusiasm, the greater the potential for melancholy. On the other hand, when we are in negative emotional states, we often fight against them, seeking immediate escape. But just as the pendulum returns to the center, the challenging emotion will also pass. Resisting it is like trying to hold back the waves of the sea with your hands. The secret is to allow the movement to occur, without fighting, without attachment. Spiritual masters of all ages have taught us the same truth. Neutrality is key. Hermes Trismegistus wrote, "The master is not a slave to the pendulum. He observes the motion, but is not carried away by it." Understanding this wisdom means learning to remain at the point of balance, at the center of the pendulum. This is where peace resides. When you feel a strong emotion, whether good or bad, Pause. Observe the feeling as if you were a spectator. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this? Where is this pendulum moving? This simple practice of observation can break the cycle of automatic reaction and bring clarity. Imagine your emotions as the weather. One day it might be sunny and warm, the next rainy and cold. You don't control the weather, but you can decide how you will respond to it. The law of rhythm teaches us not to identify with the extremes. We are not the storm, nor the shining sun. We are the unchanging sky that observes the changes. Understanding the emotional pendulum is liberating. It is accepting that nothing lasts forever, neither moments of difficulty nor moments of ecstasy. This knowledge does not leave us indifferent, but makes us wiser. It allows us to enjoy the highs without losing ourselves in them, and to face the lows without being destroyed. At the center of the pendulum, we find balance, and with it, true freedom. At its core, the law of compensation manifests as the expression of universal balance. The term compensation carries the idea of counterbalancing, and this is precisely how Hermetists employ the concept. When the Kybalion states, "The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left," rhythm compensates. It unveils the hidden dynamic governing all aspects of the universe, from the simplest physical experiences to the most complex manifestations of the spirit. In the cosmic dance of the universe, the law of compensation acts as the guardian of balance between opposites. Simply put, movement in one direction always finds its response in the opposite direction, and thus one movement compensates for the other. On the physical plane, this law is easily observed. The pendulum of a clock, for instance, swings in one direction and then returns with equal measure in the opposite direction. Similarly, the tides that rise during the full moon retreat with equal force during the waning moon. The seasons of the year, alternating between heat and cold, follow one another in perfect harmony, reflecting the natural oscillation of all cycles. Even the motion of a projectile launched upward, with its initial force, is equally compensated when gravity pulls it back to the ground. However, Hermetists go further. They teach that this law is not limited to the physical plane, but extends to all dimensions of human experience, including mental and emotional states. An individual who experiences more subtle pleasures is inevitably subject to equally subtle sufferings, while someone who lives the pains of life more intensely also experiences a deeper capacity for joy. Human beings, like all living creatures, are constantly oscillating between extremes of pleasure and suffering, and compensation is revealed in the direct relationship between them. There exists, therefore, a law governing the degree of joy and suffering of each being, and compensation is the scale that maintains order in the cosmos. The law of compensation, in its depth, teaches that to experience a certain degree of pleasure, the individual must first have experienced, at some point in their existence, a proportional degree of suffering. However, Hermetists reveal a more refined aspect of this compensation. They assert that although the negative arises from the positive, this does not mean that pleasure must always be immediately paid for, with corresponding suffering. On the contrary, the pleasure we experience may be part of a rhythmic movement, a compensatory return for past suffering, whether from our current incarnation or previous lives. This revelation sheds new light on the problem of suffering. Suffering is not a curse imposed upon us, but a natural part of the cycle, a movement of the pendulum that will inevitably be followed by compensation in the form of pleasure. Pain, like pleasure, is transient, and its compensation will come, even if in another form and at another time, restoring the lost harmony. The law of compensation applies tangibly to the lives of human beings. It is generally understood that anything we possess or lack, whether material goods, health, or emotional states, is paid for in some way, Nothing is given without something being taken away. Thus, the wealthy possess material abundance that the poor lack. But in return, they may be deprived of the simplicity and inner peace that the poor, in their more modest lives, may find on their journey. Material wealth is often accompanied by emotional or spiritual loss. The millionaire may live surrounded by luxury, but lack the appetite or health to fully enjoy their opulence. Meanwhile, the laborer with fewer material possessions finds pleasure in simple things, and the enjoyment of a humble meal may bring them more satisfaction than the wealthy person who lacks a healthy appetite. The law of compensation is an active, ever-present force, working tirelessly to restore the universe's balance. It is the principle that keeps the cosmic order, compelling the pendulum of life to swing back to the center. The compensatory movement may not be immediate, but it always aligns with life's natural rhythm. Through the experience of pleasure and pain, gain and loss, the human soul learns to navigate the cycles of existence, knowing that at the end of every movement, the scale will balance, restoring universal harmony. The law of rhythm cannot be stopped, but it can be understood, and with practice, mastered. When you realize that life is made of cycles, you can begin to prepare for its oscillations, avoiding being swept away by them. Wisdom lies in learning to surf the waves of rhythm rather than fighting against them. First, observe the cycle. Most people live without noticing the patterns in their own lives. Yet, rhythm leaves clear signs. When you start paying attention, you will see that your emotions, energy levels, and even external events follow a pattern. For instance, after days of intense productivity at work, you may notice mental and even physical fatigue. This is not weakness. It is the natural rhythm of your biological body seeking balance. Second, anticipate the movement. If you know that a phase of expansion will be followed by contraction, you can prepare for what's coming. In moments of joy, cultivate gratitude, but keep your feet on the ground, knowing that this state may pass. In moments of difficulty, remind yourself that it is temporary. The tide always changes. A powerful tool for handling intense oscillations of rhythm is conscious breathing. When you feel the pendulum swinging too strongly, pause. Breathe deeply. Inhale through your nose, counting to 4. Hold your breath for another 4 seconds. Exhale slowly, counting to 8. This simple exercise helps stabilize your mind and restore inner balance. Another practice is silence. Set aside a few minutes each day for meditation, or simply for contemplation. In this state, you connect to the rhythm of the universe without becoming a slave to it. Above all, practice acceptance. Do not resist the oscillations. Accepting life's rhythm does not mean resigning yourself, but rather flowing with wisdom. When the pendulum swings, it is not out of control. It is merely obeying the laws that maintain the balance of the all. Remember, the rhythm never ceases. What truly matters, however, is how you choose to dance. Learn to listen to your inner cycles, the tides of your soul, and harmonize yourself with the universal flow. Ultimately, understanding and mastering the law of rhythm is the path to true freedom. Thank you for watching.